all of my family went to University of Washington, UW.
Oh, University of Washington. Okay.
And yeah, so I did my undergrad there, and that was the first time I was exposed to the studio life, the design, you know, living and sleeping in the studios.
Yeah.
I first learned how to. I mean, I've learned to draw in my early days, but it was for fun. You never take it more beyond than a typical class that you would take in middle school or high school, right? But I took more interest in it in the college days, and actually my brother's best friend at the time was also studying architecture, and so I tagged along, and he showed me what he was doing, and actually that piqued my interest. So I got into architecture studies. So from there, completely opposite from my family. My family's very local. They don't want to move. They don't want to. My brother will live and die in Seattle. Right?
Oh,
He's
okay.
the outdoors guy.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I wanted to kind of breathe. I wanted to see the world, right? So I intentionally didn't apply to UW for graduate school. I didn't apply for any jobs in Washington State. So I started sending out resumes to the farthest.
Oh, okay.
So for graduate school, I studied in Philadelphia, UPenn.
Oh, you went to.
And from there, I moved up to New York.
I think that from West Coast to East Coast, there will be some kind of culture shock. Do you feel that,
in
or
the beginning,
any
definitely,
challenge?
definitely,
Oh,
definitely. And at that time, even Seattle at that time was very small town.
oh,
Right?
okay.
And so it was before the tourism kind of blossomed too, right?
Yeah.
So going from a small town to the Philadelphia, the old, still a very mega city, right? But for me, I mean, it was a cultural shock, but it was a good cultural shock because I like the urban setting. I like the
Oh,
city
okay.
life.
Yeah.
Right? So even when I was in Seattle, I would venture around the city, downtown area, the city grid. That's where I felt more comfortable. You
Oh.
know, I don't mind the outdoor, the waters and the mountains, but not so much. And so same with my wife. We love the city life, and so
Yeah.
if I look at the course of the movement, I've
Yeah.
traveled to where the city life, urban life is more in focus.
Oh, okay. Yes, sounds cool. I think fair. I think I don't know, where is the UPenn? Is in the city or outskirts of city? Can you tell me about the
There's the
UPenn?
old city,
Yeah.
right? The Liberty Bell, the
Oh, okay.
whole historic district.
Yeah.
That's the main downtown. You cross the river, the bridge, onto the other side. That's where the city, the campus begins. But for Philadelphia, there's UPenn as a major mega campus, and over the years they've blossomed. When I was there, it was very dangerous. Around the neighborhood. I'm sure it's still dangerous wherever you're going, not just Philadelphia, but it's gotten so much better, so much improvement, right? But if you know Philadelphia, it's not just UPenn. There's I think over 8 medical school concentrated in the downtown area. There's next to UPenn, there's Drexel, there's Temple, there's many other colleges. So actually, the Philadelphia is like a city of colleges.
Oh, really. Yeah. So you went to the UPenn and you joined SOM after just graduate, and SOMs, they are now in Wall Street.
I think they recently moved again. most
Oh.
recently in the last few years. But when I first joined, it was actually on the 42nd Street in a daily news building.
Okay.
That was the original location of SOM.
Mm-hmm.
And from there we moved to 14 Wall Street, on Wall Street.
Okay.
And from there I think they moved to the you know, a couple of blocks away, but within the downtown area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was, yeah, when I joined, they were setting up the neck, like the 14 Wall Street location. They're doing the renovation work, doing the fit outs. So at that time when I was working, when I started working for SOM, there wasn't a whole lot of space available.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they you know, for example, you know, between the table to table, the aisle,
Mm-hmm.
they would put a tabletop to connect the two,
Yeah.
and that's where you're sitting.
Really?
Because they were completely out of space.
Okay.
Right? So it was, I mean, it was great to see like the old SON, the original.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
interior.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also
Yeah.
it was great to see the new space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Transition.
Yeah. You joined then. You said that you joined 1998.
Yeah.
Right. At that time, wait a minute, is it digital era? I'm just trying to figure out. I joined SOM Chicago office 1999, but we had a personal computer at the time. Yes, but when you joined it, did you hand draft it or use AutoCAD at the time? Curious.
It's AutoCAD.
Okay.
But we were on the, like, for example, when you join, at the time it was the era of beginning of the era of 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Right? 3D simulation, 3D renderings, and so on, right?
Yeah.
So when you start working for SOM, you know, from day one they put you on a 2-track. If you know 3D, you'll get into 3D. Mm-hmm. and most likely you'll end up being there for many years. Yeah. Right. The other track, a typical, before the 3D era, typical track when you first join, they put you in a model shop. Mm-hmm. And you're building physical models for day in, day out for over a year. Yeah. Right. And so I didn't have the 3D expertise. Okay. And so I ended up being in the model shop, but I love building things. Yeah. Okay. And it actually shows you, if you look at the different types of model, right? So there's a block model, there's more realistic models. Mm-hmm. When you look at those realistic models, it kind of actually helps you to think about the process of building that model, because it's got similarity to the actual, right? And for example, you know, you have to build a core, you have to build the floor plates, but also the columns, the facade. So the whole sequence is following the construction sequence in a very diagrammatic way. Also, when you're making those facade with the lines and the way you have to configure, okay, you're gonna do corner miter joints, so you need to extend by how much, because you're gonna extend. All those calculations you have to go in to adjust your drawings to, you know, accordingly, to make sure you don't make that mistake of shortening, right? So all those things, you know, the detail orientation you have to get into, all the training actually starts from your model shop experience. Oh, yeah, none of the experience is, and every experience is really has a meaning and a purpose. So it's up to us how to earn, right? So I think that eventually help you to see the overall how things, you know, construction, you know, work together. So give you some another opportunity to think of, you can shift it to construction company. But can you a little bit tell about the, what kind of project, any kind of your favorite project you worked on while you're in the Samsung specific, some, or one of a favorite project? For Samsung, there's two. One is the I forget the city. We had to do a project for Arboretum, and it had a curvilinear
Oh,
floor.
okay. I saw your operation. Okay, okay.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
it was concept designed by Grimshaw,
Yeah, Grimshaw. Yeah.
and I think Samu was the local, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually built that, and the geometry, right?
Yeah.
Between the two, that joining loop.
Yeah.
That was the most critical joint, but that was the most difficult area to kind of play out. So that was one, and the other one is the Tanjong Pagar. So it was SOM mixed use development in Singapore. Of two towers. The first tower is the office and residential. Second tower is the hotel with the podium. That one is significant for me because it was one of the first to experience the site and the setting up and following the design to the construction. Yeah, so aside from, I mean, those two projects I remember the most from Samsung days.
So the second one required to travel a lot back and forth.
So like, when I first mentioned, when I set up projects, I usually travel, from, 4 months was like a maximum.
Yeah.
Right. So it was ranging from 2 to 4 months. Yeah. But for that project, and especially if that one was a design build project. So Samsung wasn't so familiar with the design build. They're always familiar with the design and build, right? So we get the full, the construction documentation and start building. Yeah. Whereas for Tanjung Pagar, they would hand over the design development, and we are the one that actually needs to put together the IFC set, the for construction documentation, and get approval and build it. So that got Samsung to be in a different environment, not so familiar environment. So instead of having a small design team of 5 to 7, we needed to have over 30 people.
Wow, right? It's a big team.
And so that also was a new experience for the entire team.
So were you in Samsung during Burj Khalifa, or did you get involved in Burj Khalifa a little?
No, I actually, my memory of Burj Khalifa, I got to travel to the very top. Oh, okay. And I before the raising of the antenna mast, I got to see the antenna mast and got to the very top level, through all the hoist going up, right? So I got to experience the construction side of the I mean, just looking at it, but I wasn't involved in that project at all.
Anyway, during the construction, you experienced this hoist ride. Wow.
Scary. Many shifting to get to the top. Wow. But when I was looking out, I think I still have a photo somewhere. When I looked out, the only barrier that prevents me from tipping over is that yellow tape.
Really? No safety. The fence just tape? Wow.
No, at the very top it was just...
Then you have to hold something that anything looks sturdy.